Hello, I'm Tom Francis, and I have been a garage interior storage designer for the past 15 years. And during those 15 years, I've used very complicated CAD software, I've used time-consuming design software, and now we have a software that we've designed that we're going to walk you through today that is quick and easy. So let's get started with a design that we went out today and did some measurements on an actual garage that has all the plugs and spigots and doors and overhead and sprinkler system boxes that are going to be in your typical garage. What we don't have here is water softeners and water heaters in a garage like you do down south. So those items are in there on the design software in the library. We'll touch on those also, but we're going to do a garage that was actually measured out this morning. So let's get started. I'm going to come down and open up our screen, and you're going to see right here where we create a new project. So once we hit create a new project, this is where we enter the client's information. I'd typically design them with the person's last name and their garage design. You can do, for example, Peterson Garage Design 1 if you know that the client, you want to save each one as clients make changes. That's not a bad way to go. Or you'll be able to edit over top of the original design. Either way, it works. You're just going to be putting more storage into your system. Then you got your name, address, email, cell phone number, and once you get all that in, you're going to create a project. So we're going to just do so we're going to hit design garage design 1, and then it pops us on to where we just start building the walls. So once we start building the walls, we're going to go to our drawing that I'll have here to my left, and as you can see in my system, I name them wall A through whatever wall it ends up being. You can name them anything you want. That just seems really very easy. From wall 1, 2, 3, and 4 around would also work. So we'll go to wall A, and then we come down. You can fill in. So this particular first wall is going to be 21 foot 3. You have to fill out the space even if it's 0. And then our ceiling height on this one is 10 foot 10. And so we're going to create the wall. Now we come in and we have our library. So on this particular wall, there is an overhead door. So we're going to hit our door, and we're going to pop that onto our screen. And when you're measuring, you're going to measure everything off the left wall and off the floor. So the position is off the left wall and off the floor. So this particular garage door was 2 foot 6 off the left wall, and it's on the floor. Then up on the top, we size the item. So we're going to be a 16:2. You can either just scroll up, or you can run so we can run the walls here, and we're 7 foot 0 on any kind of depth on items that are right against the wall. You can either just put a 1 or a 2. That way it still shows up on the screen and won't affect your 3D look if you decide to print in 3D. And so we're here at 2.6 off the wall, and then we apply it. So now that is in the exact position that it needs to be. And then if you had, for example, we're going to have some slat wall that we're going to plop in the middle here. We're going to start that at 0, 0, 2 foot 8 off the floor. And that area was 2 foot 6 to the screen, so we're going to run that at, give us a little bit of a break. We're going to go at 2 foot 4, and we're going to apply. Now, with slat wall, you can either stack them one on top of the other, and that's how the actual slat wall is, 1 foot by 8 foot lengths that are cut down, or 1 foot by 4 foot lengths that are cut down. Or you can size it. It'll just distort the slats a little bit, but it's a lot quicker and easier if you want to choose to do it that way. So we're going to do 2 foot 4 wide, and we're going to go 4 foot high on this particular one. Then we can go down just to give the client a little bit of knowledge of what we're going to use this for, we can come in here and put a ladder on, for example. So then each time you get through and make changes on that wall, you're going to hit a save button, and you're going to go here back to walls, and you're going to create a new wall. And I'm going to create wall B. So we moved on to wall B, which is 23/6, and again 10x10. Now on this particular wall, we have a frost wall or a stem wall, and we apply those by adding steps. So our stem wall was 8 inches high, so I'm going to apply a step, and we're going to start. The position here was 0 off the left wall, 0 off the floor. The width on it is the same width as the garage door, or the wall, so it's 23/6, and the height on it was 8 inches, and it did protrude the drywall by 2 inches. So on this particular wall, we're going to have a couple utilities. We're going to have a outlet. You can see the number on the screen moves as I move it across. That 11.3 is the distance off the left wall, and the 4.8 is the distance off the floor. The numbers at the top are the size of the item. So you can either try to precisely put it down, or you can drop it anywhere on the screen. Come over here to this sizing tool again, and we know by our measurements that that is 9'10" off the left wall and 3'7" off the floor. Now, the utilities are defaulted at what a standard utility would be. So if it do have oversized covers, you could put those in. Sometimes it can make a difference depending on where you're putting your cabinets or your metal shelving. But all in all, that default is pretty set at an accurate standard outlet. So that puts that into place. And then we do have a blank box that is a cover box for electrical that could be used in the future. For example, a electric car charger. So that was up in the front, and that was 1'6" off the wall and 3 feet off the floor. And now it's in position, but we want to size it. So now that particular one was 6 inches by 6 inches flush to the wall. So now that is there, so when I go to put cabinets or anything, I know that that either is going to get covered up by a cabinet, or we make sure the frame doesn't show up right in the middle of it. So on this particular wall, we're going to do metal shelving. So our metal shelving, we're going to come and pull out of our library. We've got 3 foot, 4 foot. They're 2 inches deep on the design center. So when we put this up, we want it to be off the wall 2 feet and 6'8" off the floor. So, and I got that by moving into the right position. So if I needed that 6'10", I can just add here and apply. We're just going to add shelves along this back wall. And this was for the client who had a lot of storage bins and wants to have their Christmas items out. Now, I like to try to put as many touches on it to make it feel like a real garage, so then I can put some bins. Now these are some oversized bins. I got them set at high, but if you wanted to make it like a standard bin, standard bins are 1'6". So you could also apply that and change the bin for the better look. You can run those all the way across the line to give the client an understanding of how it's going to look. Now underneath, the client wanted to add their bikes. So if you had some type of either on slat wall, you could put the slat wall first and have slat wall hooks, or these bikes in this design center are set up to be steady rack bike racks that hang on the wall, and you walk them in, they can fold to the wall. So we're going to grab the first one, and we're going to make that one at 4'3" and 6 inches. Now each bike for the steady racks are specific to the bike. The racks are mounted specific to the bike. So we're going to just put them in a rough spot to where they are. And then we're going to save this, and we're going to move back and create a new wall. We're going around to wall C. And again, it's 90 degrees. So we're going around, as you can see in this bird's eye. This was the front overhead door. We're along the sidewall. Now we're moving to the back. So it's still at a 90-degree turn. That'll come into play anytime you have a garage that might have a bump out or a wall that goes opposite of a 90. So we're going to go 90, and then we're going to put our utilities and our doors in first. That gives you an idea of where you can put the rest of your storage items. Now we have some steps. First step is on the floor, and it's 1411 off the wall, 0 off the floor. It's 3 foot wide. Actually, it's 3 foot 4 wide by 8 inches tall and 1 foot 10 deep. That'll be your lower step. Now on your upper step, also at 14, we're sitting on top, so we're going to be 8 inches off the floor. And this time it's only 1 foot deep. On top of that, we're going to add a door. So we're 1 foot 4 because we have two 8-inch steps, so we're at 1 foot 4 off the floor. The door itself is 2 foot 11. Now, if I wanted to switch this door handle, for example, because we did our measurements, that door handle is on the opposite side. So you come up here to this tool with the 2 arrows, and it'll flip that door handle to the other side. Now, this particular client lives in a neighborhood where you're not allowed to have the dumpsters outside, so we're going to have some garbage trash bins inside. This is where they want them. I did do the measurements again just to give them the realistic view of what their garage is going to look like. So now in this particular wall, now that we've got all utilities in, we're going to add some cabinetry. The client had chose our Flavy brand cabinet color, and we're going to put some larger pantry cabinets up. Now the cabinets are free floating, so we're going to have them just on top of the stem wall, which was 8 inches high. This particular cabinet is a 3 foot by 7 foot by 16 inch deep. 16 inch deep or 24 inch deep, either one. On the front, this particular client had a lot larger vehicle, so we wanted to limit the amount of depth coming off the garage wall, so we went with 16 inch deep cabinets. And so if you see down here, the tall is for the T, and then the first 2 letters are for the width of the cabinet, the second 2 letters are the height of the cabinet, and the third set of numbers is for the depth of the cabinet. So this cabinet above us is the same exact cabinet, except it's 24 deep. So you're 36 wide, 84 tall, 24 deep. Up here is the same cabinet, but this one has our T-pull handles, and this one has our full edge handles. Again, because this garage was tight with a larger vehicle in, we went with the full edge handles that are flush mount. And then now they want a small little workbench. So we're going to take a base cabinet. And if we want, like this particular one, we're going to switch that cabinet to 16 inch depth. We're also going to take a drawer base, and we're going to switch that to 16 inch depth. We can come back up and grab our worktops. This particular person is going to go with a darker 4 foot countertop just above that outlet, which is nice to have above a workbench. Now we have some upper cabinets. Now in between this workbench, we're going to add some slat wall. So I'm going to move this plug out of the way. I'm going to neck the 8 foot down to 4 foot wide. I'm going to apply. Again, if you wanted to, you could enlarge this just to one size. So for example, if I want to get rid of this, I just hit my delete button, which is the other tool. Each time you're going to change the dimensions or move or delete, you have to click on the object first. So we're going to come back, we're going to grab the Flavy cabinet, put it back. And so for example, if I wanted to make it a little simpler for myself, I'm going to drop that an inch. Okay, so to give a little bit more idea for the client what the purpose of some of these products are, sometimes you might want to come in above the workbench. Just gives you an idea for the client. Now we're going to go back to our plug, look back at our measurements, and we're going to see it's 8 foot 4 by 3 foot 6. And then we're going to add the last anchor cabinet, which the client is also going to be using for shoes by the door. So again, with shoe cabinets, you only need them at 16-inch deep. Again, we're off the floor. That's the stem wall. It's going to sit on the back of the stem wall. You can put this at any height you want. Our cabinets do not use feet. Each wall we're going to save. We're going to go back to the walls and we're going to create wall D. Now, this wall is going to go back. It's a third stall and it's deeper than the regular garage. So we want to make this garage wall 270 degrees, which if you notice on my overhead while I'm designing, you're going to come back. This particular wall doesn't have any utilities. It's not going to have any product on it, but we put the walls on so that we have a 3D mock-ups, because each wall that you see is going to have a visual of the other two walls next to it. So we're going to save that wall. We're going to move to wall E. 1010. Now we're going back to a 90-degree wall, and it's going to be out, and this will be the third stall. Now this wall had its sprinkler system. These are also set at a default, but this one looked a little small to me, so I did take the measurement. And then we have a plug. Okay, in this back corner, our client was hoping to have an overhead storage unit. We're going to put that up to the wall. Now you can change, how high this is. This is pretty high ceiling, so if I wanted to give a really good look, I could actually make the height, let's say for 3'7", for example, and then I just pull it back down and it gives it a bigger look. But I want to make sure that we're going crossways at 8 foot wide, depth of 4 foot. So it's our 4 foot by 8 foot unit. Again, you want to doctor it up, make it look good for the clients to understand what it is, so you can place some bins on. And then to make the bins inside of it, you just click the screen again on the actual unit, and it'll make it so that it looks like they're sitting in it. So if I wanted to put a refrigerator here, typically I'd want to put it over by my plug. We're going to add our stem wall, which I'd forgotten to do at the beginning. Save that wall. We're going to move to wall F. 1010, we're going to go 90 again. As you can see, the sizing tool is going to be your most important tool. That'll get you through this process a lot quicker. Now, it's a good idea to measure your plugs, because if you have a plug at the very beginning, it might be 3'5" off the floor or 3'6", but down at the end by the garage door, depending on how your garage tapers out, you may be 3'7", because the floor is going to protrude out so the carbon monoxide can get out the door, or you're going to have a drain, your trench drain up front. You're going to want to make sure that you measure the distance off the wall, because it could make a difference depending on what you're applying for storage products. And then we're going to add some slat wall. I always put my slat wall at 2'8" off the floor. It's great for anytime you have brooms, long handles. They still won't hit the ground, but it's not super high. And then again, here's where you can position each 1 foot over. Now my guys in my installation crew, they like when I do this individually, because they can tell that how many pieces there is without having to go back to the invoice every time or the purchase order. So I can set 4 of them on, and obviously once you get the bottom one, if you come over here and you look at the sizing, you got 2'8" off the floor. So you know that this one, every time you put it on, is going to be 2'8" or 3'8" off the floor, the next number up, and it's always going to be this distance off the wall. So here again, you're going to be 2'2" and 4'8". So the next one, you're going to be 2'2" and 5'8". Again, try to make it look like it's your customer's garage. The more that it looks like their garage, the more they're going to see what their garage could look like. If they have a lawnmower that that they keep in this area, you want to put that in, or a wheelbarrow. So let's just keep that lawnmower there. You can flip the lawnmower if you want. So we're going to save. We're going to move on to close to the end. We're going to have a wall G. And wall G is our service door or overhead door for the third stall. So on the overhead, you can see the garage is going to line up. That last little piece is going to be right here for a wall that won't have anything on it but a little bit of slat wall, but you're going to want that there so that you can see the 3D dimension when you print 3D. Now when you print 2D, and we'll go to that in a minute, that will look exactly, the 2D will look exactly what you're seeing right now. When you go to 3D, the imagery is completely different, and you can see, like if you're on this wall, you'd be able to see slightly this wall and slightly this wall and whatever's on that wall. So if something protrudes really far out, it will block a little bit of the but it'll give that look of three-dimension. Again, that's the big two measurements when you're out measuring. Off the left wall and off the floor, very crucial. 0 off the floor. And there's your garage door. And then we're going to do last wall. And it's not 90. Again, this one we have to cover that 270 to go back the other way. So if we go and save this, and we want to see this wall with the first garage door, which would have been wall A, we want to just double check our slat wall. And so we're going to move this ladder a second. We're going to check this slat wall here. And that's 2'8" off the floor. So we're just going to confirm that that was 2'8". So when we come to the wall H, we do the same thing. So when you see the slat wall go up, try to center it when you drop it on, because if I try to get it to here, to where the end, it won't let it apply it. So get it in the middle. At that point, we are going to, this little sizing tool here can come back in and just, if we wanted to add or change the name, we can always go back in. Same thing, there's 2 spots for it. You're saved. Now what you want to do is you want to print this to PDF. You can send it directly to the client. So when you hit this print button, you can change the name to the client. I myself send it to myself and make it into a PDF and apply it to my attachment on my bid, which that way the client gets them both at the same time. And a lot of times I'll print both a 2D and a 3D that's going to my email. And then I'm going to turn that in. Once I go into my email, I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to make it into a PDF, save it into my files, and then I can add that to my bid, or I can send it to them direct. I can send it to my installers. I've got a lot of options from that point on. So as you can see, we've designed this software for ease of use while giving your customer a clear view of what their garage can look like. Both of those will help close more sales and grow your bottom line. Thanks for watching.